Very powerful, and we'll get a sense of how powerful it is from these panelists here. I'm going to start with Lisa here. Lisa, I know Citizens Bank offers a wide range. You guys recently acquired HSBC. It was another bank you acquired? Investors Bank. So Citizens Bank is they're a little bit new to New York, but they're not new as a bank. They've been around for maybe hundreds of years. So tell us about what's the most popular small business loans that you kind of bump into with your clients and among small businesses.
Thanks so much. So basically, just a brief history on the SBA. It's been around since the 1950s. It's run by the government. It's government backed. So basically how they operate is that they have their own standard operating procedures with who they will lend money to. And then the bank will step in, and like Citizens, for example, and we have our own credit policy. So we run in tandem, right? We look to work with the SBA where our credit policy is aligned. And there we find a lot of opportunities with the 7A and the 504. Those are two of the main SBA-backed loans that we work with. The 504, to my colleague's point over here, is gonna help you to acquire and purchase real estate. You have to have a 51% occupancy there. So you can have a rental unit above, or you can rent a part of that space out to someone else. That can help generate funds to pay the loan for you. But the business has to cash flow for the loan. The benefit of the 504 is really huge in Queens because the portion that is with the SBA waives the mortgage tax. So that's a huge savings for the borrower. It will also allow for them to go out 25 years in financing, so at a fixed rate. In a volatile rate market, that's a really nice added advantage. The other loan that we do is the 7A. So that's something that is widely used by many business owners, whether they want to expand, purchase a business, like an acquisition purchase. They're looking to upgrade equipment, if they're looking to renovate their space, extra working capital. Those are all reasons that you'd want to utilize a 7A. So those are basically the main two.
Perfect. You touched a little bit upon the 504, which is real estate. So I'm going to have Ismail, I have a question for you. So when the businesses are considering, an SBA loan to purchase, what are the deciding factors behind leasing or buying, right? I'm sure buying is not for everyone, even though SBA loan program is great for that. But tell us, what do they consider when deciding between buying and leasing when they come to you with that question?
Sure, great question. So typically what when we start having conversation is if an opportunity arises. So I'll give you a live scenario. A construction company out in Jamaica Avenue, scaffolding company, great business, renting a warehouse, paying about $17,000 a month rent. The owner came to them and says, look, you guys have first right of refusal. I want to sell it, $6.5 million. Are you guys interested in buying it? So in a scenario like that, where people they came to us and said, look, we don't show a lot of money. We don't know how the underwriting works. So we said, look, let us look at your financials, see if we can find, because we are adding back your rental of that $17,000. So that's a big amount right then and there. On top of that, we realized that it's a strong business. We are able to add back a few other things that for the preliminary underwriting side of it, looking at their credit histories and overall debt structure. And we realized that it's a really good way for them to acquire that, and we could bring in a SBA loan to back that up, probably get some working capital on the back end as well. So those options are available. So basically, find a way to convert that, that rental or some other income, roll that into a mortgage payment. So that's the fundamental, on a foundation level, on a top line level, this is what is basically requires. Another thing that we tell a lot of our business owners that when you sign a lease, if you are occupying a larger portion, you should have the first right of refusal. A lot of our people in our community don't know this, don't understand this, don't seek advice on this. What it means is that just by having that on your lease agreement, if the owner decides to sell it, they have to come to you first, right? So at least having that option, and you don't have to buy it, but having that option allows you to kind of have that mindset that, okay, I have that opportunity to buy this building at some point, and what needs to happen. So we do a lot of advisory services for that, how to prepare. So if someone come in and say, look, I own it, I wanted to expand my business, I wanted to open a secondary location, but for that location we wanted to buy a building. So a lot of conversation happens first. So not every one of them are the example that I gave you. A lot of them are a lot of hand holding, but that's what I enjoy doing. But because end of the day, there's a fulfillment factor of that we're able to help somebody. So so the bottom line is that the minimum requirement, you have to be in the business. You should have at least 2 to 3 years of financials. Your financials needs to be able to cash flow, as Lisa mentioned. If you have supplemental income comes from 49% of the other area of your asset, that will help you. But overall, your cash flow has to service the debt. If that checks out, and everything, the credit and some other top line information checks out, then it's a good opportunity for us to look further and explore the opportunities.
Thank you so much. So I would say one takeaway from that is that you want to have a discussion with your bank that you bank with in terms, and that's the first thing. Before you make any move, your banker, a lawyer, those are 2 people. And also, I would say a CPA, like myself, also plays a role. But because the CPA is the one that's going to make sure your financials are in good shape, and then those have to then be submitted to the bank. So I would say even before the bank, you get in touch with your CPA to have that conversation with your bank in tandem that, hey, these are my financials, and would I be even qualified for this? Obviously, before you go deeper in putting any kind of money down, you want to get some sort of pre-approval, I would say, in a sense, to make sure that you qualify. So that conversation is very important, and that's the importance of relationship building. That's I kind of talk about this in all of my panels. Is relationship building is one of the key drivers of business success, because you want to have a team, and I call it the money team. You want to have a banker, you want to have an accountant, you want to have a lawyer, and maybe another person in a maybe a bookkeeper or something like that. But that money team is going to help you get more money. That's why we call it the money team. So keep in mind relationships, and that's why this event is we put so much time and effort in putting this event together, because we want to help people network, meet other people, build relationships, stay in touch, and whenever the need arises, you have somebody in your back pocket that you can reach out to. Hey, Lisa, I'm doing this. I'm buying a business. Can you do a 7(a) loan? Right, something like that. So I want to go to sharing now. Sharings is from a company capital that's a community development financial institution, and they really focus on the underserved and immigrant entrepreneurs. So tell me, Sharing, what are some of the unique challenges these groups face when seeking funding, and how does your organization address those?
Sure. So, with many immigrants, since they're new to the country, right, where everything is new, right? The financial system is new, and I'm an immigrant myself, so I know that journey, right? We are not accustomed to the system here, and just understanding the overwhelming, the financial system. I think that is one first step, right? And especially like you're trying to access financial products, right? Even if it's applying for a loan, if applying, opening a credit card, just understanding that system is challenging. And then also, the language and the cultural barrier. I think that is another, component, and that's why it's, a CDFI like us play an important role, is because we are culturally competent, right? Because we have staff who are from the community, who speak the language, who understand the cultural nuances, right, of the of the community member, and that kind of helps build that relationship with Ahad was mentioning, because at the end of the day, the relationship piece is so important, and to build that trust, right, and we have clients, we have like long relationship with, they may have started with a very small loan, when they are just starting, right? When you're an immigrant here, you have a dream, you want to start a business, and then eventually, with the right support, with the right guidance, your business grows. And Mr. Khalil is a classic example. Like I said, starting with small, but with having a dream, right, and really growing. And again, we feel so proud to be part of that success story because it is an immigrant success story, and we have many success stories like that. And we really take great pride in helping an immigrant businesses start and really help them grow to the next level.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah, so your organization helps with more on the micro loans and some of the immigrant community, which is great. We need that. The immigrant community is really growing fast, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs coming out of that, and so we appreciate the work that Company Capital does. I'm going to go over to Lisa. I want to ask you, right? SBA loans. Everyone, when they hear it, they think it's easy and we, it's going to get done. But what are the challenges that you see small businesses face, maybe in having their documents? But what do you see them doing wrong when they come to you that you would like to let the audience know, so we can learn from that?
Such a great question. I'd have to say, to your point, Ahad, having the deal team in place, or the money team, working with your CPA, working with your banker, working with your attorney or your realtor, having everyone engaged and communicating back and forth is super important, especially when it comes to SBA lending, making sure that the financials are in order. A lot of times, the reasons why we can't get deals to the finish line are not because they're not viable deals, but because we don't have enough information. We're requesting information to the client. Maybe we need a contract, maybe we need an invoice. Interims, if they didn't provide their CPA the proper information. So I'd say most important thing is just making sure that you have all of your documents in a row and your finances are up to date. And then second, when it comes to SBA, collateral is not going to be the issue because the SBA helps us there. It's going to be a lot of your character. So how well do you know the cash flow cycle of your business? So we can explain that to our underwriting team. How do you look personally? What's your credit score? What are your personal liabilities? What kind of income you have coming in? So just making sure all of that is in a row and you come with the right financials, you'll set yourself up to have a really smooth experience.
Perfect. So it sounds like you need to really pre-plan this, right? You want to make sure that you put together a package, or the business, right? They present themselves well. That's the bottom line. Present themselves financially, and also the experience, having some sort of a background. Previously, we mentioned we had a presentation about the Khalil Biryani franchise offering and kind of the announcement of that. And I would say, would you say, like, if a business is going for a SB 7A loan and they're trying to open a franchise loan, would you say the business or would you say the bank kind of looks at that and kind of they have a little bit of an edge in terms of qualifying when it's a franchise?
Yeah, sure. The proof of concept is really important when we're talking about franchises. We know that they work. They have proven financials that we can go on, so that absolutely helps.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I actually made that claim earlier myself that it helps, but you validated it. So thank you. You heard it from the bank directly. I wasn't making it up. So with that being said, I want to go over to Ismail to tell me a little bit about that real estate program. It's very kind of powerful, I feel. When you talk about a small business owner real estate for their business, why do you feel like why should they, some people, like, they don't like to get attached to physical, they want to move around, why do you think real estate is so powerful when it comes to owning a business?
So, I mean, first and foremost is you have an asset, right? So, which continues to grow. Your rental payment, yes, it is a legitimate expense that is being shown off of your business, but end of the day, it's just that. It's a line item on your tax return. It's an expense, right? There is not much you are getting out of it, and then a lot of the time what happens is that one of the crazy part that I witness, and it happens a lot in New York, you'll see a business started, and then 5 or 10 years later, when the business is really booming, all of a sudden you see they had to shut down, because what happens is that after 5 years, when the renewal time comes, the lease terms go so much high because the market went up and it doesn't make sense for the business anymore. So they are either shutting down and trying to find another location where they can go. So, look, end of the day, it's a business decision, right? If you're running a big organization, and if you feel that, look, I don't want to own a property because now I need to have a management team managing the asset. I don't want that. That's a different thing. But for our community, the type of business that we are doing, right? If you're a restaurant owner, right? If you are in Jackson Heights or if you're on Hillside Avenue, you are paying north of $8,000-$10,000 rent, right? And it's pretty significant amount of your income that is going on to that. Why not, if you have an opportunity across the street where you can buy a similar mixed-use building and move your business or what have you, you can save that. So that's number one. That's fundamental, foundation-wise, having an asset to go with your business. And then you get into the other tax benefits now that I think Ahad can speak better on that, like owning and that's something we talk pretty much any real estate event you'll go to. When if there is a panel, they talk about having the benefit of real estate when it comes to taxes and wealth management and growing wealth and stuff. So those are the two main reasons. And the third thing is why not? Like why not own your property if you have that opportunity? So these are the main reasons I would say.
Yeah, I think owning an asset, there's multiple benefits. The appreciation you get, taking tax write-offs such as depreciation, all of those are just really amplify your savings. So that's great. I want to go over to sharing and want to ask you regarding you guys offer a little bit more than just loans. You offer financial education, capacity building service. So can you share examples of how those services have helped businesses that you guys have worked with?
So, our goal is to really help our business owners, our clients be successful, right? So financing is definitely important. Businesses need money to get running, but they also need other additional support, and especially the type of clients we work with, right? They need the guidance, they need the support, the knowledge. So we do a lot of business workshops and webinars on various topics, so such as understanding about taxes. It could be, having your financials, books in place, digital marketing, on website building, on various topics, which are all important, right? For them to be able to run their business successfully and also help them grow. And also we provide one-on-one consultation. Again, if they need help with their marketing, they need to build a website, they need to have their online presence. We have consultants that work with them, and it's a free service for our clients, right? And also with the financial system, if they need to have their books in place, they need to have an accounting system. We have a bookkeeper consultant who works with them for a year to get that done and make sure that their books are in order. And after the 1 year of completion, which is the service again paid by a company capital, clients can decide, right, whether they want to work with a consultant, because the goal is by then they have their goals achieved, and also they are equipped themselves to continue working on their own, or if they want to work with a consultant, they can continue to do that. And something again, our focus is to really help the overall financial health of our client. Something that a company capital did was to protect our client. We are also offering life insurance and disability insurance for our loan clients up to $50,000. Again, this is a free cost paid by a company capital for the loan term. So we are always thinking about programs and services to help our clients.
Yeah, that's great. So because half of the work is being prepared, so and the other half is the paperwork to get the application done. So being prepared is also there's certain things that some business owners, they may not have a background in accounting, they may not have a background in taxes and other things. So a company capital, they really, I guess, work hand in hand to kind of give people, the immigrant community, maybe you've done a successful business in a different country, but in the US and New York, things are different. So that's awesome. I want to talk about a little bit about having people that have EIDL loans and essentially a little bit more about that. So when somebody has an EIDL loan from the pandemic, so a lot of people during the pandemic took the SBA EIDL loan. During COVID, they were giving it out. Obviously, businesses were suffering, so they took the money. But some people are now, they have those loans and they maybe want to get another one for expanding and such. Can you tell me a little bit about how the bank looks at that and possibly like some of the challenges they face when they already have an EIDL loan and now they're trying to get another SBA loan?
Sure. So yeah, to your point, the EIDL loan was great for business owners during the pandemic and post-pandemic to help them get them through. The rate was 3.75. It goes out 25 years. So to find something like that today is very difficult. We typically advise clients to keep it in place if they used it for the right reasons, continue to make your payments on time. But if you're looking for additional financing, you have two things that you need to consider here. First is you're gonna have to subordinate that EIDL loan. So if you go with even an SBA 7A, you'll have to go through a subordination process. That just means that the new loan is gonna be in first lien position. And the SBA is going to say, that's okay, I will allow the new loan to go in first lien position ahead of my loan. The second is your cash flow. So your cash flow, even though you have the loan, whatever new debt you're looking to take on, you're going to have to cash flow for that debt, including the idle loan. So just keep that in mind as well. You have to make sure that financially you're strong and you're going to be able to take on additional debt while maintaining your idle loan, and that you're gonna have to subordinate. And the subordination process isn't terrible. It was a bit easier a few years back. Now, a lot of the work is on the borrower. They have to go in and fill out paperwork and work directly with the SBA, but your banker or your CPA would be able to help you with that. So keep those two things in mind.
Perfect, thank you. Would any of you like to add on about maybe your experience you've had where someone was trying to get additional loan on top of the EIDL, or just any comments? Ismail, if you like to.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question, and it's an issue or challenge that we face. And to Lisa's point, the paperwork, I mean, we as a broker, we take on a lot of the responsibility of helping them out with those paperwork or what have you, but we have an occasion where it kind of made sense to pay it off and just had this one loan, especially, different banks have different parameters, guidelines, so you have larger banks have, a little bit more stringent guideline, then you have some smaller banks might be a little bit more open if you are bringing some balances. So, we kind of figure out that, what's a good placement, who can come up with a better solution for our clients. So, but it is a challenge. Cash flow is definitely a challenge because a lot of people think that, okay, that 150,000 is kind of not gonna get noticed, right? One of the biggest challenges is not mentioning it up front. It really throws us off halfway, or not even halfway, like when we send it out, because we don't get into some really heavy checking at the preliminary level. But then we will create a kind of like a model around the whole loan. We'll go through the whole semi underwriting, and then we'll send it. We'll figure out like, okay, what, Citizen will be a perfect partner with us for this, because they like loan like this. We'll send, they will go through some of their stuff, question answer. They'll spend some time, and then they'll do some secondary search and be like, oh, where's the EIDL on the debt schedule? So things like that, kind of put the whole thing back. A lot of the time the banks, the next thing Citizen will be like, no, we don't want to touch the loan because you kind of not mentioned something, So things like that, we really need to be mindful. Look, end of the day, I mean, for us or for bankers, we structure loans. Like, banks are there to do business. Banks are not there to deny your loan. They want to make sure that they can, because that's the business they are in, right? We find we have access to many banks. We work with, kind of like, we have 70 to 75 lenders, but, preliminarily we will work with 10, 15 lenders all the time. So we understand what they're looking for, their underwriting guidelines, but, having that cash flow, having, making sure that we know your debt schedule, mentioning that you have some merchant loan or you have the EID loan, those are important. And yeah, but going back to, if we see that it's worth going through all the paperwork, and if there is a time is on our side, we will go through the paperwork, we'll get things done because that's the best scenario for the client. But a lot of the times, whether it's a time factor, whether it's some other, challenges there, we may come up and say, look, you know what, we have a bank, but they've said, look, they will be able to come in and give you a loan. They want the first lien position, UCC1, they don't want anything else. They want you to pay off your EIDL. You're gonna lose this, you're gonna gain that. What do you wanna do? And then we make a decision based off of that.
Sharon, would you like to add anything on the EIDL or maybe your experience with some of your clients, please?
So, actually, I spoke with someone earlier. So his question was also an EIDL, and he specifically asked that he has an EIDL loan. He's making payment on time, which is so important. So if you have an EIDL loan, make sure you are not delinquent, because if you're considering to apply for a new SBA loan, it's not going to go through, because SBA loans does their own pre-screening, right? So if you have any delinquency, in the past, it's not going to go further. And having an EIDL loan does impact your current loan application. Now, I'm not saying it will impact negatively, but it is a debt you have, right? So EIDL loan, any other debt you may have, right? Your personal loan or any credit card debt you have, all that comes into consideration, right, when you are applying for a new loan. But again, if your cash flow is positive, you can afford to take the new loan. Lenders are more than happy. But because it really depends on how much loan you can take based on your current debt.
So Sharon mentioned something very important, is that if you're trying to get another SBA loan and you already have an idle loan, if you're not current on the idle loan payments, forget about another SBA loan, because eventually SBA, if you default, you're pretty much going to be blacklisted from SBA loans. Because I have this come up with a lot of my clients during the pandemic. I've assisted hundreds of businesses with SBA EIDL process, so I know a lot about it, and clients come to me all the time. And some of them ask me, okay, if I stop paying, what will happen? Right? That's a big question. So I'll tell you what will happen. There's two scenarios. One is if your loan is under $200,000, then that's one scenario, and if it's over 200. So if it's over $200,000, you have to provide a personal guarantee. So you provide a personal guarantee to get this money. Now, if you don't pay it back, what can happen is the SBA can come after your personal assets. If you have a home, your personal bank account. So that's obviously nobody wants that. Nobody wants their the SBA to come after your personal assets. And the other second option is if it's under 200K, then basically there's no personal guarantee, but they will go after your business assets. If your business has money in the bank account and other things, so they go after your business assets. So, but you don't want to be in any of this situation, because if you get blacklisted and you ever try to apply for another SBA loan, it's probably you're not going to get it. You're done. You're out of the system. So you want to keep if you're in the business for the long run, which I believe most people are, and you don't want to lose the credibility, or just you don't want to lose the option of an SBA loan in the future. You want to continue paying it. So I'm glad you brought that up, Sharon, in terms of people paying, because some people are contemplating on not paying. There's like a rumor going around, Lisa, and you can comment or not comment, saying that maybe the SBA loan will be forgiven or something like that. Have you heard of anything like this? Can you enlighten us?
I have not. So wishful thinking, though, we can will it, but I have not heard anything like that yet.
That's exactly. I haven't heard. People are thinking maybe, it could be forgiven, and there's nothing of that nature right now. And even if there was something down the line, come out maybe of some program. It could be, because SB loan is 30-year loan, right? Remember, so maybe in the 30-year time frame, something can happen. But for you to even qualify for anything in the future, you must, I would say, at least at minimum, be current on your payments. So if you're current on your payments, if there is some sort of a reduction, some sort of an amnesty or some program that comes out down the line within the 30 years, then you will, I would say, only qualify if you are current. So, so if you're ever thinking about if something will come out, make sure you're current on your on the program. So, I want to continue with a few more questions, just kind of overall for our panelists, and then we'll probably go to a few questions in the audience. So, Lisa, for you, from your perspective, what are like the biggest challenges small businesses face in just accessing capital in general? You know, whether it be SBA or other loans, and how do you feel they can overcome them?
Sure. So what I'm seeing a lot in the market lately is it's a good sign, especially here in the boroughs. There's a lot of money in the market right now. A lot of our business owners are growing steadily after pandemic. They've been able to recover and they're growing year over year, which is great. But as they get new businesses, as they get new clients, some of those clients aren't paying them on time. So a big issue that I see currently with business owners is just being able to manage their accounts receivable timely, so that they can have access to cash flow. So again, this is another important reason why you want to work closely with your deal team, work closely with your CPA. Loans like the SBA 7A, for example, can help you get access to a line of credit that can help you manage those receivables while you're waiting to collect. It can help you to engage or hire somebody that can work your billing, or even implement software that might help you collect faster. So continuing to have the conversations around getting your receivables in a timely manner, ensuring that you have the proper cash flow set up so that you can continue these growth strategies is really crucial for businesses right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa, for that. I want to ask Ismail, can you tell us maybe a success story with a client of yours, how the SBA loan program has helped them in terms of some of the work that you've done with them?
Sure, thank you. So as I said that, our stories are pretty similar. Most recently, there was a doctor's office out in Staten Island. Same thing, he was practicing out of a single unit property where he was paying rental. The opportunity came up where he offered the seller $900,000, and so the best thing was that even though he had some funds to put down and what have you, we realized that based off of his financial and stuff, we had a lender that came up with 90% financing. And then with 5% working capital at the back end. So essentially it was, 95% financing, right? And it's really something that was surprising to the borrower, because his mindset, he was like, okay, maybe, he was trying to scrape money together that, okay, I need to put in a lot of down payment. So when that opportunity came, or that offer came from the bank, that was like, wow, so now I can hold on to some money because I really need to, do some renovation, some, extension in the back, so I can use that money. Because that was one of his concerns, that if I put 25%, which is everybody thinks that, okay, I have to put 25-30% down, then I don't really have anything left at the, for me to do my, to the purpose of the extension or the expansion of that. So, and then having that 5% coming back as a working capital in the back end, really something, it's a great product. Not everybody fits for it, but if the boxes are ticked, it's really, really great program to have, because as I said, essentially you are getting 95% financing, and the limit is $5 million. Up to that, we can also, there's a conversation we're having right now on a hotel transaction. So that's another thing, SBA participates on hotel transactions as well, for purchase and stuff like that. So we can get a very high leverage on those for experienced borrower and good financials. So yeah, I mean, these are great programs. These are great, and a lot of success stories behind those.
Thank you. I love hearing the success stories because capital can really help businesses grow rapidly. They can give back to the community by hiring people, right? We hire people, we employ people, so that capital really drives a lot of factors, and the challenges businesses face in accessing capital, I think, can be alleviated mainly by making sure that your financials are in good shape, and personal credit, I would say, is a factor. Unfortunately, because you need to show good credit, but some business owners think that, okay, it's my business, why do they care about me? So their credit is not in good shape. But your personal credit is also a factor. That cannot be garbage, otherwise it's going to be very hard unless your business has some really history and super strong financials. So personal credit and having your business financials is key. Talking about success stories, Sharon, maybe can you quickly share a success story maybe you have working in the immigrant community, and then we're gonna probably do a few Q&A and some last minute remarks and before we finish up.
Sure. I mean, I don't want to mention Mr. Khalil again because that's one of the example, where, because we've worked with him on several loans, and because we were able to help him during COVID, and I think that was such a crucial time. Any businesses that survived COVID, right, are thriving now. So that's one example. But the other, I would say generally are like clients who start with us very small, especially when they just started the loan. And just want to mention, like, traditional lenders have criterias, right? Maybe they may not be able to lend businesses that are, early stage, and they require, at least 2 years in operation. But CDFIs like us, through the SBA loans, we can help startup businesses, provided that you also meet other criteria. So, so consider us as really a stepping or a launching, a financial institution, right? Where you start with a smaller loan, and as your business grows, you can increase the loan amount. And we have several stories like that, right? Like clients have started with 5,000 loan, and they've grown. The next loan is 20,000, and the next one could be an SBA loan of 100,000 to open a second location. So we have cases like that, and I think that's it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so the stepping stone you guys provide essentially, kind of launch pad. Here's you give a little money. How do they handle that? How do they manage it? And I know your bank goes up to $350,000. So once you've cap that, then you go over to Citizens Bank and they will help you to bigger and better things. I want to just see if we have any questions in the audience before I continue. Would anybody have any questions? You can just raise your hand and we'll pass your mic. We have a gentleman here. Do we have a second mic? You can just talk. I think you hear it.
Yeah, so I'm a small business and we have been operating since May of 2023, and obtaining credit or like a loan has been complicated for my business, and I want to know what I'm doing wrong and what I can do to improve my application process.
Sure. I think Lisa, you can take that. Maybe all of you can answer quickly. 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course. What kind of business are you in?
Oh, I'm a retail business.
A retail business. Okay, great. I would say absolutely there are some options for you to start. From the bank's perspective, we look to businesses to have at least 1 year in business, so that's something that we can look at. You can start small with a credit card and build your credit, but you can also look to do a small line of credit. We have a space that is $250,000 and under, with very limited financials that can help you get on a path to getting something in place. But maybe.
Sure, Sharon, do you want to?
Yeah, so I'm happy to talk to you further, right? I mean, we need to know what is going on with the business, right? So I mean, and with many immigrant businesses, what we see is not having the financials in the right place, right? And also not doing the cash flow projections. And now being in this field for almost 8 years, we all have a dream and we all get so excited to start a business, but we don't do the cash flow projections, right? To really know that, how I'm going to get the revenue for the first year and second year, and do I have enough cash reserve? Because most of the businesses failed in 2 years, right? Because they don't have enough sufficient cash flow to sustain. So I think the cash flow analysis probably it's good to do, and because a company capital, we many times we also may not be able to do the loan, right? We may have to say no. But we want to connect them with the right resources, right? So if you're not ready for loan now, but what other support we can provide you, right? Some we can provide in-house, like credit counseling we can offer in-house, cash flow analysis we can do. But if not, we will refer you to other partner organizations, right? And there's so many resources in New York City, like small business development centers, small business solutions, and there are many more. So we'll try to connect you with the resources that you can get the support, okay?
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations on starting your business. Yeah, so look, there are a couple of things. All of that is you have to start planning your cash flow projection and stuff. One thing I would mention is that a lot of people, when you open your bank account, right, you don't really shop around or you don't ask questions. You just say, okay, I'll go to Chase or I'll go to Citizen because it's across the street. But having that conversation with your business banker is important. That hey, look, this is the type of balance that I'm having, whether it's small or large or whatever. Because for banks, relationship is very, very important. Because you also got to understand that there are people that working in the bank, right? Their job is to get business, right? Their job is to get customer. It's very difficult to find customer in this environment. It's very competitive, right? I mean, these guys can tell you how competitive it is for them to get a client, right? So you should have those conversations. Talk to a couple of banks. Citizen Bank have programs she mentioned about line of credit. A lot of other banks have. If you have a good credit, characteristics with you, if your business, regardless of not having a long financial, if you have transactions that are there are some transactions happening, right? There are banks who will say, look, if you bring your account with us, maybe we'll give you a $25,000-$50,000 line of credit. A lot of banks offer overdraft protections, right? Which is essentially a line of credit for you, right? So things like that you gotta have conversation. Don't just settle for because a bank is close to you. So these are a few things you can do right away.
What will you advise me? I was since I started business, I was banking with team, and I communicated with them that my business needs access to capital, credit, so it can generate more. But they always,
Right. So look, yeah.
and I moved to change my bank to Chase without doing any negotiations.
Right. So probably before Chase, you should have talked to a few other banks. But anyway, yeah. I mean, look, I'll be upstairs. We can talk about a couple of key points. Right, some of what to ask and stuff. But yeah, just like everything else, you should really shop around. You should really find, talk to the bankers, talk to the right people. Ask these guys. Hey, what are some of the questions that that I need to learn? All right.
I honestly communicated with them.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I think all of the panels will be upstairs, so you can. I think Sharon, you want to add a quick thing, and then I think does anybody have any questions? We'll take one more question. So let's take that last question, and then we'll be giving our closing remarks. Can you just pass the mic? Okay, we have two.
Thank you. Hello everyone. I have a question for when it comes to SBA loan for acquisitions, a new business, buyouts. What would be the resources for those? Like, what are the key points? I know it's a lot of details in it, but if you can give a couple of points summarizing, like if there's a good business, running business, someone wants to buy it out as a small business, what are the funding available and resources for those? That would be great.
Sure. Sharon, do you want to answer this question? Sure. Just quickly, when somebody's acquiring a business, what are you guys looking at?
Yeah, so firstly, I just want to mention our maximum loan amount is $350,000. So if the partner buyout or acquisition is within that amount, we do that. Yeah, so you can use the SBA fund for business acquisition or partner buyout. So with the purchase, right, of acquisition of a an operating business, it's very important how cooperative the seller is, because we need the financials, right? If it's an operating business and you're taking over, right, and you're continuing, running the same business, so we need to see the financials. So it's very important how, comfortable the seller is in providing the tax returns and the sales statement. So that's important.
Sure. Lisa, would you like to add to that?
It's also important, very important, that we get the financial information from the seller. It's also important that you demonstrate that you have experience in that industry. We're probably going to look for a resume and a business plan once you take over. We're going to look at probably your personal net worth and your credit score as well. Typically, they could do a 10-year term loan on acquisition with the SBA. They can go up as high as $5 million. But those are pretty much the parameters.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. So I think with that being said, we're gonna be finishing up. I want to thank our panelists here for giving their valuable time. Saturday is a tough day. Even myself, I work nonstop Monday through Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, I just spend time with family. But we still made it out because this is very valuable. And just on behalf of U.S. Bangladesh Chamber of Commerce, USBCCI, I want to thank everyone that has attended. I believe there really isn't any such comparable event in our community and from the small business or in the immigrant community, whether it's Bangladesh or even Indian or any other, really in the South Asian. Very few events like this. Most of the big events happen in the city and Javits and such, and some of our community people cannot go there for various reasons. So we're trying to bring this home for them. That's our mission behind organizing such an event. And USBCCI is a non-profit entity. So really, we're just doing it to help the community, give back to the community, and we also are really thankful for the support that we receive from our exhibitors and sponsors like Citizen Bank, A Company Capital, and IRECOM. So that all makes it possible. So thank you all, and we are looking forward to having an event next year as well. We'll be announcing that soon. With that being said, we're going to continue our networking upstairs in the exhibition hall, and we'll be wrapping up the event around 5:30. So thank you again, everyone, and I look forward to connecting you. And if you have any questions for the panelists, they'll be upstairs as well.